White man wants black people to leave their house and come outside to join forces with them so that they can take over America together. White man specifically wants black Americans to come out. And the annoying part is every single thing he put into making this video and the reasons he's giving is not even good enough for me to leave my honorable house, for me to leave my comfort zone to be coming out. Is it not the same outside that black Americans have been protesting, doing this, doing that for a lot of people that literally do not value them? So is it the same outside that these white folks want black people to be coming out while you actually voted for every single thing that is happening? Why is it so difficult to understand that black people are saying we are stepping out, we are stepping back, we are backing out? It's none of our business. We don't want to put our hands into what literally do not concern us. Why is it so difficult for people to understand that? Because it's annoying at the same time, now alarming, that you see Africans telling black Americans to come out. You see Somalians now telling black Americans, oh, we're sorry, we're blacks now coming out. Now falling to white man saying, black people, leave your home, leave your house. It simply means leave your children. It simply means leave the job that is putting something on your table. It simply means leave your comfortability and come out. Let's stand. Anyways, welcome back to the channel. My name is Sonia. Subscribe, like, comment, and share. Credit belongs to the original creators of every single clips and stitches we have in our today's episode. And for disclaimers, this is just for educational purposes, not to come here and ruffle on anyone's shoulder or defame anyone. Let's get right into this video so that you guys can watch and see exactly what these white people are saying, and I'll be back with commentaries. Let's go watch, guys.
Come there, let's meet there. And all of you need to be arming yourselves in one way or another, whether that's physically or mentally. You need to be ready. There is no talking to evil. There's no having conversations and figuring out things with evil people. And I know you guys don't want to think about fellow people as evil. But guys, villains have always existed, and they always will, unless we do something about them. And we all know that words will do nothing. Peaceful protest at this point should just be left to black Americans who can sit on their couches while we are in the streets fucking things up like we should be. Because the buck stops here. I don't care if I'm the only fucking one. I'm going to do something about this myself because I have the means, and it was gifted to me at birth. Because that's how this administration works. That's how this country works. I will be looked at with more compassion. I will be on the front lines while they're trying to talk this through with me because they think that we have some sort of kinship because we're white.
Peyton gets it. Shouts out to Peyton. His name is Peyton Vanest. Vanest. He gets it. He's literally doing a call to action for his fellow YT Americans, saying, hey, meet me in DC this day, this time. Come prepared. Black Americans, the only one that needs to be peacefully protesting at home from their couch, because he knows that his skin color is a form of protection. So for everybody else to be telling us to get out there and fight against ICE for whatever reason, illegal immigration, knowing damn well that they would love for us to be out there to use us for target practice, is diabolical, especially when we have been at the forefront, our ancestors, our lineage, and us, because we've been protesting to present, like in modern times, we've been at the forefront of every situation when it comes to injustice, especially as it pertains to law enforcement. So when, like, they do need to show up. I've been saying this from the beginning. Like, we don't need to, they need to show up. They need to get as mad as they did on January 6th. Period. Because I don't think that any of us needs to be risking our lives to go out there at this time. Now, if ever comes a point when we need to, then we will put boots to the ground. We know how. We've been doing it for centuries. But to see other black people, other black Americans in particular, calling us lazy, denigrating us, talking down on us because we as a collective are saying, hey, we're not going to go out there. This is not our fight. It's utterly diabolical. Spread love is the Brooklyn way. Shouts out, once again, shouts out to Peyton Vanis, because he know what's going on. He gets it.
Protest at this point should just be left to black Americans who can sit on their couches while we are in the streets fucking things up like we should be.
The fact that we have a white man, Peyton, and if you don't know him, please look up the Unfuck America tour debacle. That was amazing. Anyway, we know he has a lot of credibility within the political space. He's on here reiterating that black Americans have the right to peacefully protest because he understands that we have put in the brunt of the fight for the entire dawn of time. Like, what can I tell you? We've always been the ones fighting for liberation. And again, liberation for black Americans is liberation for everyone. Anyway, he's on here reiterating that fact. And then you have black men on here shaming other people because we don't want to lay down our bodies for the same people who couldn't even vote for us to prevent this from happening. They're on here calling us lazy, saying that we're not like you black people. We're going to be out here fighting on the streets. And if you're not fighting on the streets, you're next. But yeah, you have this white kid who understands that we have always been next. We've always been fighting, and we reserve the right to not fight in the ways you want us to. It's embarrassing. And then when I bring up the fallacy and the idiocracy in your argument because it's just weak, you question my mental state. You question whether I'm mentally capable. Neighborhood Alki, you're a weirdo, and you're a fucking loser. You a grown-ass man, and you got a white kid running circles around your ass. Then you have the nerve to question my mental state. Nigga, are you okay? Are you all right?
You're not even out there. You specifically are not even out there. You want us out there? You want us out there? Before Renee, there was a black man that was murdered by off-duty ICE agents. What's his name? Quickly now, don't look it up. What was his name? So many of you that keep saying some version of this very same thing. And it doesn't escape me that you do so from the comfort of your homes. Our ancestors put their bodies on the front line to make change because they decided that they would rather die standing on their feet than be killed in their homes doing nothing. It's not just that you think nothing will change until we come out there. It's that you're too afraid to do what needs to be done out there. Privilege is a comfort that far too many of you are unwilling to forego. We will not put our black bodies on the line so that the majority of you can sit back in the comfort of your privilege and the comfort of white male patriarchy that has coddled you for far too long. And by the way, let's just keep it a buck here. We can't even get you all to boycott properly. The simple things that it requires to tear down this administration, you're not even willing to do that right. There will come a day when you will have no choice but to listen to black women. My fear is that then it'll be far too late.
Should just be left to black Americans who can sit on their couches while we are in the streets things up like we should be.
The reason that the protests that are going on right now are not working and will not work is because they're not disrupting the system. They're designed to inconvenience the system. I want to be very clear that I'm not advocating for violence in this video, particularly on apps that are very picky about taking down the wrong kinds of videos from the wrong kinds of creators. Something that I think our white-bodied friends on the left are not understanding about peaceful protests is that the civil rights movement protests were never peaceful. I mean that they were intended to do things that were going to disrupt the system in more than just an inconvenient way. Oh, we don't have the right to be in your schools? Well, we're going to go into your schools and we're going to face the army down because we're trying to press the issue. We don't have the right to sit in the front of your train? Well, we're going to sit in the front of your train in order to press the issue. It was illegal for black people to sit at a lunch counter and ask to be served the same way that white-bodied Americans could be served. They were sitting at the counter with the training to endure everything that they did specifically so that they could be arrested. Those laws needed to be challenged. That meant that someone had to get arrested for doing the thing that was illegal in order for the cases to make their way up to the Supreme Court. If all you're doing is holding up signs, chanting, taking pictures of ICE agents committing atrocities, documenting it, Not only are you not helping the people that are being victimized in real time, you're just organizing a parade. You want to go through traffic this way? Well, we're blocking the intersection. So sorry, you have to go around or you have to wait for the parade to walk by. That's why famously there was a white-bodied woman that was like, well, we need to have bouncy houses at these things. Why wouldn't they be family friendly? Why wouldn't there be a bouncy house there? If we're not disrupting the system, we're just out gathering together, holding hands, singing Kumbaya. That's why what they're doing is not working, and it's not going to work until someone gets invested in doing something that is really good trouble.
People, you've made your point. Change in America can't happen without black folks. We need y'all back in the fight. Please and thank you. Aw, do the minorities and white people realize without black Americans, nothing is really going to succeed? But in reality, you don't want black Americans because we see how you guys view us when we try and run for office. You guys only see us as cattle and fodder to your cause. You want us to be on the front lines because you know it can get aggressive, shit will turn up, and you guys don't really care about our voice though. And we have had enough of that. And still seeing how you guys are acting in 2026 with Jasmine Crockett tells us everything. You guys don't want us to be in leadership positions. You guys just want us to be on the front lines. It is no different than the world wars when they put the black people on the front lines. That's all you guys see us, no matter what side, whether it's on the left or on the right. You guys want black people on the front lines and you want them to put their lives on the line. And enough is enough. You need to fix your own problems and fix your own people and have them finally wake up and stop voting against their best interests. But are you going to do that? No, because you want us to do all your fucking ground and dirty work.
Deepen our understanding of white supremacy so that we can have more comprehensive conversations about what is currently happening in our society and what we're up against. Because it's not a front for capitalism. Capitalism is not the final boss that y'all think it is. Racism, sexism, these isms are just systems of oppression. They are henchmen to the final boss, but they are not the final boss. The main goal of white supremacy is not to extract resources or hoard wealth, but to establish superiority. It is who it tells you it is. And in order to establish superiority, you have to assert dominance and authority, which is how the situation in Minnesota could happen, is how a white man could end up shooting a white woman in the face, because at the end of the day, the goal is about asserting dominance, whether that be through financial dominance, gender dominance, race dominance. It doesn't matter. It's about asserting dominance and being clear about who has the authority to assert that dominance and who doesn't. This isn't about laws. It's not about safety. It's not about any of the things. It's not about oil. It's not about none of that shit. It's about asserting dominance. And I think we reach for these other things as a way to rationalize it, because the truth means that people are losing their lives, people are suffering, people are being exploited, people are being oppressed for centuries, just so a few white men could feel superior. No other reason. No other reason. There is no other reason for so many of the tragedies that we face in this world, other than a few Europeans feeling superior. And that is a very hard thing to accept and grasp, because then what it really means is that all of this is for nothing. All of this is for absolutely fucking not a damn thing.
White supremacy is dismantled across the globe, there will never be peace. There will always be war, death in mass numbers, destruction, corruption, total chaos, until it's dismantled. Mind you, they only make up 15% of the global population. The problem with that is the other 85%, the majority of them, side with them because it's profitable. They know the secrets, they hold them. And until they begin to tell the truth, until the lands are given back to its rightful owners, there will never be peace. You will always see war. evil is in power, and they know it. That's why the racists are going to come to my comments with their bullshit.
Get upset with me, but I like to always keep things in terms of like an eagle eye perspective, a very larger scale perspective. You know, rest in peace to Renee Good. Hear me out. And this is really unfortunate. If you are Black, you know that we've been dealing with this kind of thing all of our lives. And so it's not to shift any of the heartache tied into and associated with this, by no means. That, you know, as far as I'm concerned, when one person suffers, all of us suffer. Wanted to take this moment and highlight, because I think this is what's missing, right? A part of this entire thing, Trump being elected, all of the fallout, all of the demonic shit that we're seeing happen, a part of it is because this is all necessary to balance out society and bring destruction to the existing system. We can call it an administration, but it is a regime. And oftentimes America in general is just ran like a regime, whether you have an awareness of it or not. The difference is with Trump, yes, there's a high level of inhumane behavior, judgments, like it's a gang of shit going on right now, right? But aside from that, so many people believe that this was a class war, a race war, and it has been that. But what you've been distracted from is the bottom line, that you're all fucked. I don't care what side of the aisle you sit on. And it's unfortunate that so many people have been colonized, programmed, I want to say institutionalized, because you have to be incarcerated in your own mind to sit here and believe that this type of shit is acceptable because you sit on one side of the aisle, because you support red or blue, but you talk about Black people in gangs. So I want to take this opportunity to highlight that there is no race. There is no classism. This is about humanity versus inhumanity. And this is what it has taken for everybody to start knowing the experience of pain that's tied to inequity, injustice. You know, for a long time, it has only been Black people that have been the bottom of the societal totem pole. So when you watched us get taken out on your TV screens like it wasn't nothing, like we were common animals, like it was a New York rat, you know, it didn't too much bother you because it's been so normalized. And, you know, fast forward, we have all this economic hardship that's impacting everybody. And it's almost like the administration had to come in and level the playing field so that everybody could know what injustice feels like. Because too many people were reliant on money, access to wealth, stability, race, class, as a means to avoid accountability related to humanity. If it didn't impact you, you didn't care. If it didn't bother you, you didn't give a damn. If it didn't touch your household, or if it wasn't something you couldn't relate to, didn't matter you none. And now everybody is seeing what it's like to experience injustice and pain, inequity, oppression, all of these things that was really specifically geared towards one group in this country this entire time. You can sprinkle some others in there, but we was the ones. We was them ones. Now we all them ones. And it's unfortunate. And so I'm just waiting for y'all to get mad enough.
Why white people fight the system that keeps them poor? Because since the foundings of this nation, America has always built a buffer class. Not by accident, not by culture, but by design. If you live in the United States, you're either benefiting from the system, crushed by the system, or positioned between the two groups to protect the system. The buffer class, the group placed between Black people and the elite white power structures. They don't control wealth, they don't write policy, but they enforce the rules socially, legally, and culturally. Basically, their job is to absorb pressure so that the elite never had to face rebellion from below. Like in the South, the buffer class was created through slavery and Jim Crow. Poor whites, overseers, slave patrols, later these are your police and sheriffs and your prison guards, they were always told, you might be poor, but at least you're white. And way up there in the North, they had a buffer class that was created through industry and immigration. Factory foremen, white-only clerks, supervisors. The elite gave the white workers limited access. They turned them against black laborers to stop class unity. And in the Midwest, the buffer class was created around land ownership, small farms, local militias, property-based voting. Whiteness became a qualification just to belong. And all the way in the West Coast, the buffer class was built through policy and settler expansion. Lawmen, border enforcement, vigilantes. Race defined who was protected and who was dispensable. And Fred Hampton, he knew this, that the buffer class was created for one reason, to prevent unity between the oppressed and the exploited. He also understood that if poor whites, black people, immigrants, and workers ever saw themselves as equals, the system would collapse. So the system paid the buffer class in status instead of wages, identity instead of security, and authority instead of freedom. This is what W.E.B. Du Bois would call the psychological wage of whiteness. You don't get power, but you get to feel superior. And today, the buffer classes still exist in police, ICE agents, middle management, suburban voters, media gatekeepers, and cultural war influencers. These are the ones who enforce the laws that they don't write, defend the system that doesn't protect them, and attack people who are suffering just like them. White supremacy doesn't need everyone to be racist. It just needs enough people to do nothing or enforce the racist policies. And here's the part that they're just beginning to let you know, is that white supremacy will sacrifice white privilege the moment the system is threatened. And history proves it. Labor strikes crushed, protesters killed, whistleblowers silenced, and poor whites abandoned. Neely Fuller Jr. once said that if you don't understand white supremacy and racism, then everything you think you understand will only confuse you. Because if white people were protected, then poverty wouldn't exist in white America. If loyalty was safety, then veterans wouldn't be homeless. The buffer class is not protected, they're used. White supremacy isn't about loving white people. It's about protecting white power structures. And the buffer class is strongest when it realizes this truth. Your liberation is tied to dismantling the system.
That privilege is a key factor into maintaining the dominance of white supremacy. The problem with how you're framing it is that it implies that privilege equals rich, which is a very common misrepresentation of privilege that hinders people from not only understanding privilege and power, but understanding white supremacy and the fact that it depends on much more than capitalism in order to function. Which is why even when white people are poor, they still have more opportunities and more resources than poor black folks and poor people of color. And that's why poverty is not actually the unifier that people like Adolph Reed Jr. thinks that it can be, because they are still sowing racial division and programming a superiority complex even in the experience of poverty. That's why it's so important to talk about the fact that they receive more government assistance and welfare than any demographic in the United States. Because even when they are poor, they are still treated with more humanity than anybody else. So I don't really understand what you mean by they can't experience race, but they can experience poverty. And even while they're experiencing poverty, they are still being treated superior to everybody else. So what's your point? A lot of times when we're talking about white privilege, especially in the context of the Western world as black radicals, we're not even talking about your class status. We're actually talking about the privileges and immunities afforded to you by the Constitution. The clause of the Constitution that says that your rights should not be discriminated against anywhere on this land as a citizen. And we know that even when you hold citizenship, your rights still aren't respected the same way that their rights are. You actually don't have the rights that that paper says you should have in practice. It don't work that way. That's what we're talking about. We're talking about privilege. We're not talking about how much money is in your bank account or your gender or your sexual orientation. We're talking about you have the right to be treated like a fucking human being in this bitch. And I don't. That's the fucking privilege that we're talking about. So even the poorest of the poorest white person still has an incredible amount of privilege over me no matter how much money I make. We don't experience poverty the same. We don't experience being rich the same. Right? Capitalism is not the final frontier. Anti-capitalism work is not. It's not gonna free us the way a lot of the Marxists would like to have you think it will. It's not. This is why I make it a point when I'm doing my political education work, especially when I'm doing anti-racism workshops, but really when I'm doing any workshop, to explore and analyze our understanding of privilege and power. Because we really don't get it. And even those of us who spend so much time studying white supremacy still truly do not.
I'm not gonna lie to y'all. I fear that America gonna be right back in it. Even if we fix this right now, America gonna be right back in this situation in like 2 generations. Because white people is not learning a lesson that they need to learn. They gonna have to Stanley yell as they ass up that mountain like Madame Zeroni and atone for this shit. Because here's the thing, you may not have started the original curse, but you, your mother, your grandmother, your great-grandmother, y'all have been feeding the curse generation after generation after generation, and we've been fighting that curse generation after generation after generation. Yes, I am 30 years old. I was right outside for Black Lives Matter. Until white people go up that mountain and atone for what they did. And this is the thing that's blowing my mind. Y'all keep saying Germany. Y'all keep pulling up pictures of German soldiers. Pull up them pictures of your grandparents outside them schools. Pull up the pictures of your great-grandparents at them picnics. Stop talking about Germany when they learned they playbook from a real specific group of motherfuckers who 2 generations they kids is looking at me on this goddamn app right now. Y'all are related to, in the same house as, and breaking bread with the motherfuckers that created this world that we live in today. And we warned you, and we warned you, and we warned you, and you warned you. But you know what? At this point, I don't give a fuck if they learn a lesson or not. I hate to say it, I'm just glad that everybody lives under state-sanctioned violence now. I'm just glad that we are not having to experience this alone. Welcome to America, bitch.
Anyways, welcome back, guys, and thank you so much for watching. But the first question is, for the longest of time that Black Americans have literally been talking to people, literally been making America see exactly what all of this is all about. How many of you guys care to listen? None, right? You didn't care to listen, but you care right now because it's affecting you and you want people to come out. You want Black Americans to leave their comfort zone. Black Americans said it. Black Americans pleaded. Black Americans advocated. We're saying this is what we are supposed to do. But what did a lot of you guys do? You will not listen. The second question, how many of you guys have literally come out for Black American protests? Because I don't know why a lot of you guys just literally want Black Americans to show up. I don't care if you're immigrants. I don't care if you're from Africa. I don't even care the nationality that you're from. But have you asked yourself how many times have you literally stood for Black Americans? You don't give, but you want to take. It is your own time. Black Americans should leave their comfort zone. They should come out. Because you are who? Because you are who? Because I don't know who you are. Because the last time I checked, the only thing that is supposed to bring Black Americans out is if Black Americans have their business to do. Treat others the same way you want to be treated. If you want me to treat you well, treat me well. You don't keep treating me and making it look as if I don't exist. You don't listen to what I say. You don't care about my opinion. You don't care about every single thing about me. But you want me to care for you. You want me to stand with you. You want me to come fight, advocate. You want me to show face. Sorry, Black Americans are not coming. Black Americans are not leaving their comfort zone for things that are not important. Because gone are those days that Black Americans have literally spoken to a lot of people. Gone are those days that Black Americans, every single battle, they want to be at the war front. And you see some of you, especially these white folks, that usually keep saying, this country cannot go forward instead Black Americans come outside. This country will still be backward. Quit saying that. Because you are saying that because it's affecting you. A lot of you guys that are always talking about, oh, Black Americans are not showing forth. It even got to the point of some people doing videos saying that Black Americans do not want to come out for Somalians, that very soon Black Americans will be deported, that they should see how the strategy is going. Trump has literally been deporting illegal immigrants or immigrant, whatever they call it. He has deported Mexicans. He has deported some Hispanics. He has deported some Latinos. He has also deported some Asian people. That right now he is coming for Somalians in Minnesota. That after Trump finished with Minnesota, he is going to visit Black Americans. And I was like, what did you people really think before saying this? So stop involving Black Americans in your battle, please. Face your battle. Do your thing. Because nobody literally come through for them. Nobody see their pains. Nobody see their struggles. Except for few. And even for the few, I can't tell Black Americans to risk themselves now and be coming out. Honestly. Because as at this point, their peace of mind is very important. As at this point, all what they need is just to keep looking and see what is happening for what you guys voted for. Because if during the time of the protest, this white guy or these white people that are always saying Black Americans come out, if during the time of protest they came out to be like, oh, we need to vote for Kamala, we need to vote for this, we need to do this, we need to do that, just for the progress of this country, I think a lot of voices would have heard you. But no, you kept quiet because a lot of you guys thought that people that are literally going to be affected are literally going to be Black Americans. But now it's not becoming a shock to a lot of you guys that instead of them being affected, you are the one that is being affected. And now you want them to come out. They are not coming. They are not. They will not come. So just rest your case. Humble yourself and look for another thing to rub on Black Americans' faces. Guys, let me know what you think about this video. Credit belongs to the original creators of every single clips and stitches we have in our today's episode. If you haven't subscribed, what are you waiting for? Do it, subscribe, like this video, drop me your comment, and lastly, do not forget to share. Black Americans, stay one place. Do not move an inch to anywhere. Yeah, and this video is for educational purpose. For some of you that will be asking me, why are you doing it? It's for educational purpose only. Anyways, I want to say a very big thank you to every single one of you liking my videos, dropping commentaries, sharing, and also supporting the channel. I do not take you guys for granted. You guys are absolutely the best. This hair, can you respect yourself? I'll just pull you out. Anyways, thank you for super chatting. Thank you for membership. Thank you so much for always tuning in. I do not take you guys for granted. And yes, with that being said, with no further ado, I do like I always say in my videos, I'm going to be seeing, and I'll see you guys in my next one. For that, bye guys. I love you guys. Mwah.